Okay, now that we have seen one way to make the noodles, let's look at a different way to simulate, to create the noodles. I think I have a better plate than this. Instead of modeling everything from scratch, I already have some models that I made, some modeled plates. So I'll just get that from my library. And yeah, let me, if I can find that. I think I had a plate saying somewhere. Let me change this. Lumion tableware. Yeah. Let me pick some from here. Yeah, so it's really nice to have a library because it can help you out. Yeah, let me also pick everything here. I think, yeah, I'll just pick those three. So instead of making everything from scratch, I can just copy and paste from my library. So I already have the plate. Let me see if the materials came as well. Yeah, the materials are also there, so that is nice. You can see the textures are there. So if you want to get these models, you can find them on my CG Trader account or my Patreon account, so that you don't also have to build everything from scratch. Let me save this. Also, let me make sure this is recording. I'll call this noodles. Noodles. Yeah, so let's get into it. So what I'll first do is hide this collection, or give it a new collection. So I'll just call this plate. And for the noodles, I'll just create a new collection here. So collections now are another way of grouping, the new way of grouping things. So I'll call these noodles. So I can hide everything. Let me remove this plate. We don't want to use it. And get the plate here. I only need the plate for now. I hope I didn't delete it. It's not what I deleted. I think it's what I did delete. So I only need the plate. I should use better naming schemes next time to hide everything but the plate. And let's start working on the noodle. Okay. So we're going to use curves obviously for this. So let's begin making our first bunch. So let's add a curve object, basic curve. I'll move it here. And go to the curve settings. Turn on depth. Make sure this the fill mode is set to full, and the resolution can be something like 2, since we are not going to simulate anything. That is not. It won't be too hard. It's not too much. So also let me rotate this a bit. Okay, where did everything go now? So when you hit 1 on your keyboard, it will hide every other collection, but only show the first collection. If you hit 2, I thought that is how it should work. But if you accidentally press 1, you will realize that everything else will be hidden, but the but everything else in the first collection will show. So if that happens, just go back here in this collection and turn back everything back. Yeah, because that can be confusing if you don't know what happened there. So let's scale down these noodles by reducing the depth here. Let's try. I think that's a good size. Now we can go to edit mode and we can convert this handle type to aligned so that we can control rotate these control points easily. And another thing you can do just to make this look better, you can go under overlays and turn off normals for these. Let's see, extras, handle. You can turn off normals so that we only have to deal with. Look at that. Now we can start making these, turning these into noodles. You can start from one angle like this, or you can go around, rotate at different angles. This will rotate the noodles as well. I think these are too large, so let's reduce that even more. We need to come back to these here, bring that so that they're not intersecting. I think that is good enough for one noodle. Then we can use Shift D. And because we have a random colors turned on, we can easily see where each noodle is, where each string of noodle is passing. So instead of, if we had single colors, you can see it can be confusing which noodle we are working on. So it's nice to have random colors on so that you can easily distinct between the different noodles. So we can scale this down, rotate. You can also just mirror this, Control A, mirror that in the Z direction, and then mirror that in the X direction, just to give it some variance, and then start making edits. Just edit in different angles so that this has a different heights. So you see we have that. Again, Shift D, duplicate this, maybe scale it down a bit, rotate it. You can also scale it in the X direction. So you see we have that. And I think at this point it doesn't even matter if we edit, but it doesn't hurt as well. So we can do things like that. Let's start putting these on the plate. I think they're still large in relation to the size of the mesh. And the good thing about Blender 2.8 is that nowadays you can edit multiple objects at once. So if we go to edit mode here, let me see if this would work. Okay, it only works for the selected object, for the active object, but you can also scale down the size, the bevel size, by selecting everything and then using the shortcut Alt S. That can let you scale down the bevel width. So we have something like that. They are going through, but we can always come back to that and make edits. So let's select everything. Duplicate this until we have something compact. You know, while we're at it, we can start working on some materials so that we can see how the real thing would look like. So let's go and change this to a shading mode. Shading mode here. Turn on ambient occlusion, and we also need to turn on screen space reflections. And what else? We need to bring back our reference image here. So we already have materials for the plate. Let's add a background image for the lighting. So environment, open HDRI image. Let me go with this here. Well, let me find a room image. If get this. Now let me try adding some lights here. Light area. Can bring this up around here to light this side, and shift the the noodles will have subsurface scattering, so a backlight would really help. Go to the shading. So for the next tutorial, we'll look at how to add some materials, and maybe we need the outliner somewhere here. So I don't think I need this here. We're not going to do UV editing, so we can change this to the outliner. And where are our noodles? Just one. So you can see they're going through the plate. But what you can do, you can select maybe one like that and turn on proportional editing. Enable. And for now, we can turn off these handles and maybe the normals as well. Let's go back to workbench shading and turn on random colors again so that we can see what parts are going through. Enabled. Yeah, I don't know why it's supposed to work on all of them, but it's only working on this one, but that's okay. We can just find each one and move them up. Let's bring back the handles. Also scaling them down, scaling the handles down can also help. But you can just go and move. Maybe you can also just select one by one that is going through. So in the next lesson, we'll start working on the materials to see how everything will look with the materials turned on, and we also need to add more noodles. But I think it will be easier to see where to add more noodles if we have the materials turned on. So yeah.